Hi, this is Jeff, and welcome to part 2 of my interview with Michigan theater legend Nancy Kammer. In this half, we talk about Nancy's approach to the craft, turning pain into art, and auditioning. Also, let me know in the comments what you think of this new format of splitting the interview into 2 half-hour segments. Enjoy!
You basically have to look for the music under the words. But it also was one of those wonderful experiences where the universe just says, here's this, right, just at the right time. Because that other time, when you forgot your lines and you fell down, shot the gun that didn't go off.
What is the bang? How do you approach a role?
I do love to act. Okay.
So what is, I find you to be an incredibly honest performer, and you strive for that honesty. From the first day of rehearsal to closing night. And that's not something that you see in a lot of performers. I think a lot of actors are comfortable with doing their shtick and keeping
what they're comfortable with.
They're playing within their comfort level, knowing what, there's something to be said with knowing what you're good at and doing that. But that doesn't help you as an artist. So what, and I'm talking too much. So what,
no,
go
you're
back.
Not. It's a discussion, right?
Right, yeah, it is a discussion.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So what is,
my coach said, you basically have to look for the music under the words. What's happening underneath? There are about 5 major feelings. And the others are capillaries from them. So in other words, you can't really play jealous. What's under jealous? Fear. So it's that kind of a thing. And she said those things are they ride on the breath. So you have to do a lot of breath work. And so I make sure that I'm doing that, breathing the correct way and breathing into the feeling, into the music under the words. So I think that might be my major first thrust, and then I just read it and reread it and reread it. I look for what other characters say about my character. I guess that's pretty much it. It's kind of a mysterious thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
In many ways.
Well, how often do you end up reading the script?
Well, I think I read it every day.
Okay.
And then as we work, and the words start dropping in.
You read the whole script every day?
Yeah, because I'm looking for clues. Oh, I didn't see that. Or, I have a friend who erased all stage directions because he said they were mostly written by the stage manager.
Which is true.
Is that right? Well, I guess I look at that too.
Unless you're George Bernard Shaw.
Yeah, right.
Right. And then you know it because you're like page 2 of the stage directions.
Oh yeah, right? He's the one who said plays aren't written; they're rewritten.
Yeah, exactly. But no, in most cases, it's the stage manager's notes or the publisher's notes, because scripts are meant for the reader, not for the actor.
Oh,
so.
Right. Yeah, I bet a lot of playwrights are frustrated by that when they read them published.
Yeah,
Tennessee Williams and so forth.
I would assume so. Tennessee Williams wrote a lot of the stage directions.
Yeah, I think O'Neill did too.
Yeah.
So I think those things are...
Yeah. He tried to nip it in the bud, but there are a lot of playwrights who don't get to write, or don't find that important. So somebody else writes it in for them. I suppose if they... I don't know. If you're a playwright, let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts about those stage directions?
Yeah, that would be good to know.
Yeah,
if that still is the case or not. A lot of plays we do now, in Michigan especially, are new plays or Michigan premieres. Detroit Rep does that a lot, and Theater Nova, and so I think it's less of a sense of having been published by Samuel French. So you get the script and,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and you know
what I mean? It's fresh.
It's very fresh, you know, in some
Right.
cases. You know, the playwright's right over there.
Yes,
You're like,
right.
okay,
right,
here we
right.
go.
Oh, I was in one thing where the playwright was also the director.
Mhm.
I've done that a couple of times, and sometimes it works out okay, but in this case, it was really, really difficult because
Mhm.
he had a thing about the main actress, and she had a thing about him. So a lot of times we were like,
What do you mean by
Well,
a
they
thing? Were they just
they butted heads.
they butted heads
About approach, about
Mhm.
things, and a lot of hers was a cover because she couldn't remember her words.
Mm.
And so what happened was the scenes I was in with her, I had to really make sure I knew them because she would go up or...
Well, that'd be frustrating if I were a playwright that
Yes,
the actress,
of course.
you know, or actor.
Oh,
couldn't-
yeah. But he was kind of a, you know.
Yeah, you don't know who to root for.
I don't know what you're going to bleep out of here, so I don't want to say too many dirty words. But, you know, he was kind of a piece of work himself.
Mhm.
But anyway, that was a trial. When you talk about, I mean, I enjoyed the role because she was very funny, but it was an eye roller, I'll tell you. Because everybody who saw it knew she was going up.
Mhm.
And
Oh, really?
oh yeah,
It was that
yeah,
obvious?
It was pretty obvious.
Oh.
So that was a trial, and we were all in it together.
What was the most difficult play you ever worked on? What was the? Yeah.
I think it would be the one I did for Kickshaw last season.
Oh, really? Which one was
It
that?
was about a woman who was descending into dementia, and so it was a very abstract piece. You were kind of in the world of her mind, so you know it was fragmented, and people would say things that she heard a certain way, and it was set in her mind. It was set in a place called the Concrete Park in Wisconsin, where she had been the person who does the tours, you know, for many years. And her husband was dead, and she talked to him. In fact, she kind of would bring him in when she was having trouble. But anyway, it's hard to explain, except if you've ever been with somebody who is going through dementia, I think you realize that that kind of thing takes place. They respond in strange ways. You never really know what they hear. They're losing their abilities to read and speak. And so it was just a fascinating thing to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just spent the past 3 years being my mom's main caregiver.
And was she going through the same thing?
Yeah.
So was that difficult because of that?
Well, yeah, it was because of the things it brought up, but it was also a part of a healing thing, I think. And because I had gone through it, I think I could bring things to it that made it real. There were people in the audience, a lot of the people in the audience responded that they, you know, experienced people close to them when they were watching me who had gone through this. But it also was one of those wonderful experiences where the universe just says, here's this, right, just at the right time. I mean, that I could take this experience that for me was so painful and turn it into art.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a gift from the universe.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that you found it healing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that a little bit? Go into that a little bit.
Because it gave me a place to go with those feelings that I had about my mother. I could kind of put them into what she must have been going through.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. So you were, I think it's great to have sort of, theater's a dangerous space, but it's also an incredibly safe space at the same time. Theater's not nice. There's no such thing as a nice character in a play where it's like, whatever you want to do, everybody's fighting for something, right?
Yes, true.
Yeah, everybody like,
true.
I want this.
If you don't have conflict, you don't have a play.
Right, exactly. And so there's that danger aspect, but I always say it's better on stage than off, right? So if I'm playing a murderer on stage, I better do it on stage than off stage, But it's great to have that place to channel these emotions and to learn to accept them in yourself, and know that they're a part of you, and by expressing them, you sort of let them go.
Yeah.
I remember doing Rabbit Hole years ago, and I went to the audition, and Rabbit Hole is about a couple that loses their child, right? And my daughter was like 3 at the time, so you can't help but put yourself, and I would be shaking on the way. I was just shaking on the way home from that audition. It was so tough. And then I got cast in it, and I had a ball, but I had a ball in a way that you explain. I got to cry. I got to feel all these emotions. I got to deal with all this really dark stuff within myself.
Yeah.
And that's the actor's joy.
It is, because it's a catharsis, right? You touch on it, you reveal it, you share it, but you also let it go.
Yeah.
Just a friendly reminder to sign up for my new workshop on Wednesday, March 4th from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington. We're going over auditions, and since audition season is coming up, I suggest you come by, learn a few tricks. Don't forget, it's totally pay what you can, but you have to sign up by going to my website, www.michigancheckoff.com. See you guys later.
Yeah. So, you have been in several projects, it sounds, where theater has been used as an agent for social change, as an agent for personal change. Is that how you feel? What do you think of the power of theater? Do you think that theater has that?
Well,
After been doing it for so many years?
Yes, I think there's a reason why we still gather in a dark place together and know that we're never going to experience this again in this particular way. And I think it has to do with the collective energy. They say that people who are in a theater and watching a play, they've done a test. I don't know who did it, but they did a test and found that their hearts started to beat together.
Huh.
Isn't that something? So it's really something that happens to people. And I suppose in a way it's that way in film. When you're in a movie theater, except that you know that if I see Star Wars today, it'll be the same one that I saw 30, 40 years ago. But if I go see you tonight, and then I go see you next Friday, I'm going to see 2 different shows.
Most likely, in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. Because that other time, when you forgot your lines and you fell down, you shot the gun that didn't go off.
When is the play tonight?
You know what I mean, though? It just because the audience is different, so they bring a different thing. Because, God, we just did this play at Tipping Point, which is like Doll's House Part 2, and there were nights where Inga said, God, they just hate her tonight, meaning her character, Nora. And then there were, they take on different Sometimes they would be really laughing and vocal. Sometimes they'd be really quiet. And then they're a little harder to read because it's back and forth. It like we're having a dialogue, that's theater. You're having a dialogue with the audience, and they're the other character that's building the event, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're feeding off that energy, and you're giving you're in Chekhovian terms, we would call that radiating and receiving. We're receiving the energy from the audience and from our fellow actors, and we're also radiating that energy back out. So it's a breathing process. Yeah. What is the Michigan actor?
The Michigan actor is one who knows they're going to have to travel in their car to get somewhere.
In the middle of winter?
No, I'm saying, oh my God. We've had some, haven't we?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I did a play at the Rep, and it was just like every weekend, that whole winter. It was like snow and ice and it was freezing rain and whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I that's being facetious, but in a way, it is true. You just have to know that you're going to travel to be an actor here, because we don't have public transportation, and it isn't like Chicago where you can jump on the L, or in New York and be on the subway or the buses. So that is a limitation. I mean, if you don't have a car, and in
the Motor City,
you're up the creek without a paddle. The Michigan actor also, I think, is I don't know. Do you think there's a characteristic?
Well, this whole project has been, for me, a discovery in figuring out what that characteristic is. And I've said this in previous interviews, and I will say it again. I left. I was here from 2003 to 2011 and worked, and then left for about 7 years.
Yeah, I know.
And
down
then,
there where you could get a drive-up margarita.
Oh yeah,
I remember you posting that, one of the first things.
I was appalled.
This is unbelievable.
You know what? They count it as a closed container as long as the paper is still in the straw.
Oh, okay.
You take that paper off, that big gulp size Long Island iced tea, and you're in,
wow, New Orleans. Look out.
Yeah. I mean, it was all over Louisiana.
Oh,
drive up daiquiris is what they call them.
Wow.
But you can get everything. You can get Long Island iced teas. You can get screwdrivers. You can get a gallon of it.
Yeah.
To go and put it in your car, and you're like, woohoo! It was a fun place, but
Well, anyway,
I left.
You went down there.
I went down there
you were
to
running a
teach.
School.
I was the director of theater
Yes.
at a school for the gifted,
Right.
and then I came back, and I found myself kind of like going, wait a minute, everybody's talking about the same things that they were talking about when I left. And I suppose that's universal, but at the same time, it was like the exact same complaints about the exact same things.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there wasn't like a difference. Like it wasn't even like a new person or things that they were saying that were wonderful, things that they were saying that were negative, and I was like, this is interesting. I want to find out what the Michigan actor is, so that I can be an agent for positive change in our community.
Oh.
And
wow.
And so
That's great.
this has been my labor of love, is trying to find this out. And so what do I perceive the Michigan actor being? I think the Michigan actor is definitely hardworking and definitely a hustler. Okay, this is going to be controversial. I think that sometimes the Michigan actor can be complacent in their process.
Oh.
and that in other places you might find them wanting to get better
That's
and
true.
to grow.
That's true. In New York, that's what took me to Michael's class, which then became we did plays, then we did Shakespeare, and his whole thing was, technique without passion is boring, and passion without technique is embarrassing. So there was always that thrust to do both, and because we were working at a craft, and also performing that craft, you're right. There was less chance of being complacent if you still keep saying, okay, what else? What else can I do? How about tap dancing classes?
You could have been very happy, never touching Shakespeare and working in the things that you were having a ball doing, right? And you chose to go, I think I'm going to explore this. Now, that could have been because long ago, your uncle worked with Joseph Papp.
Yeah.
But
genetic, you mean?
Well, I'm saying that you saw him, and you're like, this guy who I really respected did Shakespeare. So that could have been do you think that might have been at the back of your mind when you started doing it? Or?
Could be. But I think I've always been a searcher. I've always been a searcher, and I've always had deep feelings that are anxious to get out. So I think the searching part is what leads me to say, okay, what else? I went back to college recently during the time when my mom was ill. It was something I could do when I really couldn't be a part of many productions. I could take a class because that was an hour, and I could have someone else spell me in. And so I started taking creative writing and math, algebra, because I wanted to just keep sharp. So, I guess, I would say that you offering these Chekhov classes, for one thing, which has always been like a little thing in the back of my mind going, yeah, you should do that. You should go there.
Well, I am offering a workshop on March 4th. It's Pay What You Can at the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington at 6:30 to 9:30. So there it is.
Yeah, I actually saw that on the last one of these that I watched.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to make a note of that.
Yeah, come on.
Because audition season is coming up. And I'm like, I know how to audition. I'm not sure. But then I was like, no, that's like going to a gym. Yeah, I know how to do crunches too, but I still have a belly. So let's keep crunching.
Well, it helps, there's a lot of people who think, yeah, exactly, that I already know how to do that, which is true. You do.
Yeah.
If you, Lord knows, you have to have learned.
Yes, right.
But there are tricks that maybe you don't know.
Right.
And ways of going, I can do this, and this. And that's going to be really easy. And I'm gonna try it in my next audition, and it's gonna take some of the stress away. Auditions are brutal, and it's the business, right? Whether you're auditioning for film or theater, it is
brutal.
Chore.
Everybody hates it.
Yeah, everybody hates it. But if you can do anything to reduce some of that stress, I strongly encourage you to explore it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And do you still get nervous for auditions?
I don't like them. I don't get as nervous because it's sort of like one of the things that Michael Moriarty always said was, it's apples or oranges most of the time. So if you have to work on not rejecting yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can get beyond that, then you just go and you do your thing and you say, this is my take. You want it or not? But you don't say, oh man, they didn't want me. Well, no, they didn't. They weren't going in that direction. That's the hardest thing, is to not reject yourself.
Well,
to keep your heart open.
There's no actor in that room who beat you out of that role. That's not how it works. They don't. It's not a competition where the best actor gets the biggest role. It's definitely something where you are saying, "Here's what I have to offer," and somebody else is like, "Here's what I have to offer," and the director is putting together a giant puzzle.
Yeah, it's a mosaic, and there's sometimes family, so you have to,
family.
That's a factor.
Producers who want somebody.
Oh no, I don't mean even like that. I mean like if you're casting a play and it's a family.
Oh yeah,
that's a great component to it.
Yeah,
you have to look like you could be that mother or that
or you might
son.
look really strange next to the other the leading person. Like you might be. I mean, not that relationships don't exist where somebody I know lots of relationships where the husband or wife is fully a couple heads taller than but as a director sometimes you don't want to go in that direction because that's what the audience is going to be thinking.
That's true too. That's true. I hadn't thought of that, but you do have to sort of second guess what's their, are they going to go with you, because that's the thing you want.
You've been behind the table right, as a director. What do you look for in your actors?
A sense of openness, aptitude, certainly, an agreement to be open to give and take. It's not so much like when I direct, I always feel like we're going to create this together. I'm not going to tell you what this is about. We're going to discover that. So it's kind of that sense that you're looking for in an actor too, that will be someone who wants to enter into that kind of a thing with you.
Someone who makes it clear.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't.
Sometimes
they do.
Sometimes people audition really badly and then they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are so exciting in the audition, you think that's really going to work. And I've had producers sit with me or artistic directors and say, I'm not sure because I kind of felt like they, whatever. And you go, oh, I didn't notice that. So maybe you have them come back and read with somebody else or give them another take to see if you noticed that. And I've made some bad choices that I thought would be really interesting. And they were to me at the time, but ultimately, it was problematic when we got into rehearsals. You just have to go, well, it reminds me of this. I'm going to say, can I drop an F-bomb? If it's a famous person, you'll bleep it out? You
can, but I will bleep it out.
Okay. Well, then they'll know what it is anyway.
Yeah.
Michael was with Tyrone Guthrie, directing him at the Guthrie as one of the lovers in Midsummer Night's Dream. It was a very strange interpretation, and everybody was trying to go with it on all that. And they opened the show, and they knew it was just awful, and it wasn't working, and the audience wasn't there with them, and it was very quiet, and they were sitting there in the green room at intermission, like heads down. Tyrone Guthrie sweeps into the room. They all kind of look up at him. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I seem to have fucked up. Rise above." And he turned around and walked out.
Who as a director hasn't said that, really? At least in their brain.
He had the nerve to come and tell them that and say, you're going to fix this.
He's Tyrone Guthrie. I mean,
right?
He gets one.
And I love that story.
Yeah.
So, you just have to keep going.
Wow.
All through.
Wow. Well, we've reached the end of our time.
We're done?
Yeah, believe it or not. See, it flies on
It does.
by.
I was worried. But you're so great.
Yeah, well, you're great.
So
it helps when I have great, someone with great stories like you. And this has been Nancy Kammer. What are you doing next?
I'm not doing anything now.
Oh.
I'm cleaning my basement.
Oh, okay.
So anybody who would like to come over and watch me do that or lend a hand,
I'm sure
I'll do a monologue
I'm
for
sure
you.
it would be riveting. And again,
No, I'm sort of semi-retired, so I try to do 1 or 2 things a year, like one directing thing, one acting thing, and some film. You know, when I am brought in to do that, that's wonderful.
Oh man, and we didn't get a chance to talk about that at all. Well, next time.
All right, next time we'll do film.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes. Again, this has been Nancy Kammer. My name is Jeff Tamakis. Next week, I will be talking with someone new, and and in the meantime, don't forget to like or subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.
See you at the audition workshop.
Mm-hmm.